Hey friends, it's Doug
For Towers Films.
and welcome to Coffee and a Chat. It's an
More of a teacup, but hey.
That's an extended episode, and boy, do we have some things to talk about today. Let's dive right into it. Okay, some of the things we really want to get into here, um, because our case counts have continued to escalate. We've had over 5 days of 4,000 cases.
Yeah, about a week anyway.
Yeah, and so here in Ontario, our premier has finally said,
and it's going up every day, like record.
And the premier has finally said, okay, enough's enough. We've got to do a little more extreme measures.
Right.
And the extreme measures are something to say the least.
Well, they introduced new restrictions. They kind of, if you guys remember, if you're in Ontario, that is, you'll remember last March when this all started and we got restrictions. So they basically closed. Well, it's a little different because they closed all retail down last year.
That's true, they did.
Retail's still allowed to operate. It's just the curbside pickup delivery, small box stores.
Yeah.
Big box stores have reduced their inventory. We talked about this last week. And you can only buy what they consider essential items. Also depends on what box store you're in.
Well, and that's something else that we kind of found ridiculous. Well,
we talked about that last week too, which we can get into later. But then the new things, well, again, they initially closed down parks, playgrounds, basketball courts, golf courses, baseball diamonds, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. All outdoor activity, like in recreational settings kind of thing. It's closed down like it was last March. And then the new thing that they didn't do last year was they gave the police sweeping new powers that they can arbitrarily or randomly stop anybody on the street or a car and ask them why they're not at home and ask for ID and their purpose for being out. So that's new for this lockdown.
But as we heard in the news, as soon as that went out, people lost their freaking mind. They're like, no. No, that's unconstitutional. You can't arbitrarily stop somebody and say, hey, where are you going?
Right. It's technically against law.
And let's be honest, the police services have enough darn stuff to deal with.
Right.
In their day-to-day operation.
And in fact, at least 4 different police services said they weren't going to do that.
No. That's true.
They weren't going to randomly stop people on the street.
And so, like, my employer told us to make sure you had your ID, you had a confirmation of work letter in case, as it said,
they were stopped.
You were randomly stopped. But seeing that it's coming down, that you can't they're not going to randomly stop people and question them.
Well, so we know at least 4.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's province-wide because I don't think that has changed. There has some things that they have amended. But Peel, York region, Toronto, and one other has said they weren't going to do that, basically because they really kind of can't do that.
Well, that's right.
So,
and
they cannot stop you unless there's some kind of valid reason for them to stop you.
If you look,
they basically said so.
Well, it's like you and I were discussing before we went on the air. Like, if you look sketchy, of course, the cop has every right to stop you.
Well, yeah, for speeding. Yeah. Or, your car or something looks like it's about to fall apart, or
expect to be stopped.
Kind of dressed all in black and you're running from a house or something. Maybe they might stop you because and there's like an alarm going off somewhere. But I mean, they can't just walking down the street.
I might have a problem.
Just say, hey, what are you doing out? Kind of thing.
I might have a problem.
Well, maybe if you're, Well, see, the thing is, even the mask doesn't matter right now because everybody's wearing a mask. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people.
That's true.
A lot of people are, but it's like, so. I mean, that's law. They can't just
arbitrarily
stop you for no reason. So, and they have stated such, and so they actually refuse to do that.
And he reversed his decision on playgrounds.
On the playgrounds, yeah. Well, because experts, the mayors, like of Toronto, and actually John Tory, Toronto's mayor, has basically said, he was going to talk to them about even the police being able to stop. He was concerned about that.
Of course.
And then also like Brampton's mayor, Mississauga's mayor, Toronto's mayor, and even different regional health ministers have said, why are you shutting down playgrounds? Well, doesn't make sense to do that. That's not where your spread's coming from.
No. And you know what? With the new purchasing restrictions, and the kids can't get certain things like arts and crafts supplies,
right, yeah,
whatever.
They're non-essential.
That is deemed non-essential.
Right.
So you're taking all this other creative outlet away from the children.
You can't even get like books.
Can't
get toys, can't get books. I mean, like, yes, in-school learning isn't on right now, but they are still learning online.
Of course.
Or what if you're working? You might work in an office and you might need these kind of supplies for something, but oh no, that's not essential. You can't have that. No. You can't have that. No. But you can paint your home. You still have access to paintbrushes and things like that. Because, but you can't get school or office supplies. Now, granted, you can still get them. I know you can still get them as long as you order them, and then do curbside delivery for them or have them delivered to your house.
But, well, it's also like we talked about with Mother's Day is fast approaching.
Yes, you can't get
your mom a card.
And we were just talking about this. Say you want to get your mom a Mother's Day card, or say your kid has a sweet 16 or a big birthday coming up or something like that. You can't do that. I mean, you're not going to find sales associates that are going to go and look for a card for you. Like, what are you supposed to do? I want it to be like this, and I want to have this kind of a meeting, and they're going to go search for a card for you so that you can get pickup for it. I mean, and there's stores that don't even do that. So, online ordering.
Exactly.
So that they can do that with. So, I mean, as far as I'm aware, Dollarama does not do that.
No.
That I've seen. At least ours does not do that. Maybe other ones do. But ours doesn't do that. So, and what if that's all you can afford?
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, and just like we were saying last week, some of the stuff that they're deeming essential or non-essential
could be essential
is kind of arbitrary. I mean, like we were saying, they've got the whole area of socks at Dollarama closed off. Yeah. That's non-essential, But I mean, yes, I know Walmart sells them, Amazon sells them, or whatever, that kind of thing. But what if, when you don't drive, so you're having to take a bus or a cab to get there, or some do not order online. I mean, people who don't even have computers, so they couldn't order it online, or they don't even have a smartphone, or they don't feel comfortable with it. I mean, we know people who are somewhat tech savvy and they just don't like buying online at all, or they don't have a credit card or something, so they can't buy online kind of thing. I mean, I know there's PayPal or whatever else that there is at some stores, but some people don't trust it. So, I mean,
that's true.
What about them, And I mean, things like Dollarama is cheaper for some people, and you can't even get that there. I mean, like socks aren't essential, clothes aren't essential, or shower curtains aren't essential. That's all roped up, but you can buy paint or paint rollers
or a specific type of container.
Right.
It's just it doesn't make sense. And we mentioned this last week that it's like, let's fine tune it. Okay, I understand non-essentials, but you also have to understand a lot of people are on a fixed income.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, even seniors. It's not even just people who might be of a lower income, but seniors are on a fixed income. So I mean, they only get so much.
Exactly.
Like in pension or whatever month. I mean, even if you save, I mean, as things have gone up in price. And so, I mean,
ridiculous.
I don't know. It just doesn't make sense a lot. No, I understand the reasoning behind why they're doing it too. I mean, one is to try to cut back on people just browsing, something to do, and also what they're saying they're trying to do is to help smaller mom and pop stores. The thing is, we know different people who own small businesses. So I mean, you do feel for them, because you don't want them to go on. No, you do want to support them, and we do our best to support them if we can. But some of them do not sell what everybody needs.
That's
and
it.
They sell them at a higher price point just because they can't. They need to. They don't have, they need to, because one, they're not buying in bulk the way say Dollarama or Amazon or whatever.
Exactly.
So they have to raise their prices higher, and plus they might be unique goods kind of thing. But the thing is, if you're buying at Walmart or Dollarama, whatever, Best Buy, or not even Best Buy, but Walmart or Dollarama even, you're probably not going to be buying at a boutique. Oh, so the thing is, unless you've got the money or the reason to do so, so how's that really helping them by limiting? Because a lot of them don't sell. Some might. There are mom and pop hardware stores, for example, but we actually don't have any in our area. So we kind of have to rely on the bigger stores.
Of course.
Because there used to be a long time ago they shut down. Long before there was even a big box store selling hardware even. But and that's the case actually in a lot of places. So
that is
what
the
do
case.
you do? I mean,
how do you navigate that? And
they're not necessarily going to jump from Amazon or Walmart or wherever to a mom and pop shop in their area.
No.
If they'll just do it online if they can. I mean, that's the thing,
If I can get everything I need online, why am I going to go?
That's what I'm going to do. That's what most people do.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing that just confounds my head. Oh, there's a gym here in Mississauga called Huff Gym.
If you're in the GTA, you've heard of this.
You've heard of this
standoff that's going on with Huff Gym.
This gym,
it's on Dundas, I think.
This gym has decided to contravene the orders to close.
Right.
They're saying,
because remember, they all can't be open right now.
And they're saying it's unconstitutional. We don't care what the government says. We don't care.
I think it's a female owner. I don't know her name, but I think it's a female owner. But she's saying she's staying open. Yeah. I think she did close the first time. I mean, this is after the lockdown. I think she closed the first 2 times. I'm not sure. No, but she's saying she's not closing this time.
Yeah, her and her co-owner are going, nope, it's unconstitutional. We need to pay the bills, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And it's really caused a lot of hostility.
Yeah.
To the point that Bonnie Crombie, the mayor here, is like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe these people are doing it. We're going to pursue legal action.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, they can.
They can. And that's what these people need to understand.
Yeah. Like we said, I understand why they're doing it. It's a small business.
Yes.
And there was video, which is really what got Bonnie upset.
It was from the interior. It was from the
inside, I believe. And there was I don't think it's that big of a gym. At least the area that we saw didn't look like it. It might be. We haven't been in there. But there was a whole bunch of people, and
in close quarters.
It's supposed to be about 5 maximum. Like churches and funerals, things like that allowed, I believe, 10 indoors and outdoors right now. But they're all together, they're unmasked, all that kind of stuff. So in a fairly small area, it's about really got Bonnie Crombie upset. She was furious. Oh yeah, and then of course protesters. Not as many as if you remember the restaurant that was at Etobicoke. There's a whole bunch of protesters there too.
Yeah.
There didn't seem to be as many, but enough, And of course they've had bylaw officers protest for about a week when this all kind of shut down, and then they've also had police outside too.
Oh.
And but she keeps going in. I guess she's letting people in. There's been a few.
They'll enter the buildings through the back,
right? Yeah.
And like there was a news clip of her on the roof screaming it's unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Da 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 da.
Right.
And a supporter actually being very aggressive.
Toward the news.
News
reporter.
News reporter. I'm assuming she was Eastern European because she was.
Couldn't make out
we couldn't make out what she was saying, but she was spouting off something in a very aggressive tone, and
and like falling, like he was backing up. It's just
well, and
I don't know what she was saying. Couldn't make it out.
Come on,
and then even the cop that was there, I don't know his name. He's been suspended because he was actually hugging. There was the newscaster, the reporter, showed him hugging and shaking hands with the protesters that were there, and none of them were masked or anything like that. And he went after the reporter, basically saying, "Oh, you're antagonizing them." Well, not that we saw, of course, in editing. I don't know if he was asking questions or what.
The reporters, I'm reporting the news. I'm reporting this story. It's like, what's wrong with you? Like, this is a pandemic, and you're.
I don't know what he was saying. He might have been saying that. I don't know.
And he's like, well, if they want a hug, I'll give them a hug. If they want to.
Well, the cop even said to the reporter, "You want a hug?"
And he's like,
and he said, "No, I'm good." and so he's been suspended for that. Because really, I can see it because you're not supposed to be doing that.
No.
Like, you're there to keep the peace and make sure there's no rioting or anything like that. But you're not supposed to be actually hugging, whether you agree with them or not. You're not supposed to be hugging them. You're supposed to be actually trying to stay neutral here.
Okay, I'm gonna really play devil's advocate, and I'm sorry. You're there to do a job. Do the job.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to glad hand with these people, tell them, "Oh, it's okay, buddy. I understand." Blah blah blah.
Even if you do understand.
Even if you do understand, you have a job to do. You have a duty that is expected of you, as a police officer. You're not doing that job. It might seem a little extreme, but I'm sorry. Fire him. If he's going to be unsafe in this situation, he could be unsafe in other situations.
See, this is the thing. I'm sure there's plenty of times different cops or whatever don't agree with what they're doing or why they're there.
That's true.
I'm sure there is. But and this could be a case of that.
Yeah.
It probably is. But the problem is that's your job.
That's your job. Exactly.
They're not actually being told to shut her down. Like, I think even I don't know if it's Bonnie Crombie said that, but because it has to go through courts to do it officially. They need a warrant and all that kind of stuff to do that with. But which I don't know if that's what they're going for. It sounds like it. But they can't do it until then. But the job being is so that, say, people who are protesters come up, which we have seen before in other protests.
Yes.
And it can get violent between them because they're so passionate about their side. And they can actually get, like, fighting and stuff. And so really what they're supposed to be there for is to keep peace. But I don't know. I don't know if he broke the law or like, if I guess it's up to the police whether they want to fire him. If he did break any of their kind of code of conduct, it sounds like he did, or else he wouldn't have suspended him for it. That's what I mean. Like, if it's, you have a right, whether or not you want to believe it or not, kind of thing. Like, he can side with them or not, but his job kind of contradicts.
Well, that's it.
Maybe what his belief is.
Well, everyone's entitled to an opinion. Everyone's, of
course, yeah.
But
I don't know whether he should have been hugging. And
no.
Maybe if they were thanking him to keep the peace, I guess that's one thing. We didn't. See, this is the thing. We don't know what the context is of why they were shaking hands with him. That's why I don't know whether he should be fired. It could just be they were thanking him for being there and keeping them safe or whatever. Which we don't know if there was other protesters who come there and threatened them or what. We don't know at this point, because we're only seeing what the camera's seeing at that moment.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they're thanking for, or maybe they're thanking them because he's saying you're doing a good job, whatever. We couldn't hear it, so we don't know why they were hugging or thinking. Whether you should have hugged them, I don't know. In the middle of a pandemic with no mask, you're risking yourself, but so that's your choice, I guess.
So this is probably going to be an ongoing situation.
Whether or not now, see, also the issue is, like you're saying, with Huff's Gym. Again, whether you believe in their right to be open or not. See, the thing is, in a pandemic, governments have special powers.
Exactly.
That supersede our technically our rights. Yes. In a sense, they actually can overwrite that. I mean, and it's right there. You can look it up. It is in the Constitution, and it's in different amendments and stuff.
Of course.
I mean, is it fair? Depends on if you believe in, if you think they're doing it for practice or not. I know a lot of people believe it's trying to do it for control purposes, but believe me, they could be a lot more controlling than they are.
Exactly.
They could go a lot further than they have done. I mean, they could do what Quebec's done. They could implement a curfew, and they haven't done that.
Not yet.
They could actually shut it completely down like they did in Italy, and you can't even go outside your house. They do have the power to do that here, where they can actually charge you for stepping at your door. See, the federal government, a lot of people want to blame the federal government for this. We're by no means liberals, but you know, I'm not defending how they've done this or not. Really not conservatives either. So, but they could have enacted the Emergencies Act, which actually supersede anything the provinces are doing right across the board, and that means they could effectively shut down everything, and they could implement martial law if they wanted to. So to make sure people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they've not done that, and neither really of the provinces. So,
but this is
maybe go back to a bit, but not really.
But see, this is something we've talked about, and on our podcast show, and now in our extended episodes here.
Right.
It's great to have an opinion. It's great to be passionate about what you think. But there's a time and place. There's
like the protests,
with protests, with
because they seem to happen every weekend.
To vocalize about your discomfort over this, your anger over this.
I mean, I think we're all kind of angry.
We're all angry.
What's going on?
We're all frustrated.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But you know, I always think you're never going to go into a grizzly bear den and poke the hibernating bear and win.
Right.
You know, the government's only going to take you thumbing your nose at them for so long.
Well, because like this kind of goes back to what we're saying with that business, really, and it's already happened to a couple restaurants that have tried the rules. Their licenses were revoked. One in Barrie, I cannot remember the name of it, but they've also been doing like what Huff's Gym is doing, is opening against the bylaw.
Yeah.
And now the liquor license board has revoked the liquor license. And that's just the start. I mean, what they could do is actually revoke the business license. And I do believe that did happen to a business, and I don't remember which business it is. I think it was a restaurant, because it was a while ago. They did revoke the license. So now if they operate, they're doing it legally, and which means they could actually go to jail and be fined very heavily for it. So this is what we're talking about with Huff's Gym, whether they agree with the lockdown or not. It's not really an opinion base. She could actually lose her business completely, because I know a lot of people think bylaws are not laws, but they are, and they can be enforced because it's a provincial mandate.
Of course.
It's not necessarily a city mandate, it's a provincial one. Now, I know how laws work. They have to go through a lot of readings and stuff. Because it's an emergency order, it works a little differently than regular traditional laws do.
Yes.
And that's already been worked out amongst all the provinces and cities and everything, that if there's like an emergency, like a pandemic or whatever, the emergency is, they actually can take control, and it supersedes a lot of other laws because it's in the best public interest
of the populace.
Right.
Yeah.
So with this case, because she's insisting on opening, and I know she's trying to save her business, I know they're still having to pay rent, and
of course
they have to pay their employees, and they have to make a living and all that kind of stuff. But because it's a provincial mandate that they have to close,
yeah,
I don't know really why they revoked the outdoor stuff, because remember they did start allowing gyms specifically to be outdoors. I don't know why they revoked that. I don't know, because they could control how many are in a class, and if they're outside in a park or something, they could isolate pretty well.
Of
I
course
don't know. I'm not part of the decision making, but it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But
no.
But because she keeps doing that, she's risking them permanently shutting her business down. And the thing is, they've got the power to do that. And I mean, what's good's that? You know,
exactly.
That's the thing. What good's that? I mean, we're already losing businesses
left, right, and center
because they can't afford to stay open. So why provoke it even more? I don't know. There has to be, like we talked about, there has to be a better way to be able to have these businesses who really are not the main spreader of this. We've talked about this before.
Ad nauseum, yes.
Well, and experts have said this, and they've already been saying to even the province, the premier and stuff. You keep targeting the same areas, and they are not the main drivers of this. Retail, small, big box, anything, gyms, even hair salons. There might have been 1-2 breakouts at a hair salon. That's it. Out of how many? Restaurants, all those kind of things have never been giant spreaders.
No.
At all.
No.
So it doesn't make sense. This is where you keep targeting it. And especially when some of these can adapt, like restaurants could do patio seating, gyms could do outdoor
of course.
workout. I mean, I know some it's a little harder for them to do it, but they could adapt somehow at least.
Exactly.
But and even this time around, they're talking about they're not again targeting what needs to be targeted.
That's right. That is right.
Which is your warehouses, your distribution centers, your manufacturing, like the big work centers who are not complying. Not all, some of them are, but there are still, it seems to be the same places that are not complying where the spread is occurring. And again, what we're talking about is the lack of vaccines here, and going to the wrong place. They should be targeting those in those settings, getting them vaccinated.
Okay.
That's who should be getting vaccinated.
This is our vaccination protocol and our vaccination rollout is
really, I don't know.
It's a bad joke.
It's a mess.
It is a freaking mess.
Yeah.
We are like so far behind.
Way too far behind, yeah.
We're a first world country.
And we're sitting about 55 worldwide.
What in the heck? Like, we have cocked this up.
And we just heard today, you guys might have heard it, that Doug Ford is now reaching out to other countries to potentially get vaccines here, because the federal government, Trudeau, has said they want to try to send more help to Ontario, because Ontario
we're in a terrible state. Yeah.
Specifically the GTA, other areas of Ontario, they're not doing wonderfully, but they're doing better.
Exactly.
It's just the most heavily populated parts of Ontario, which stands to reason.
Yeah, of course.
But they said Red Cross is standing by to deploy, and like they had asked other provinces to potentially send nurses and ICU doctors here, because right now our ICU numbers are spiking. Pretty badly.
For sure.
And there's about 500 people who are now on ventilators. That's not just the GTA; it's all of Ontario.
Yeah.
But of course, Alberta has since said they can't spare any, and I don't really blame them, because they're also their cases are spiking. Their cases are spiking too. So, and they've just gone back into kind of a lockdown there as well. So, where Downey, so New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, I think PEI has said they would potentially send like healthcare workers.
Yeah.
But they don't want to spare vaccines. Well, they're not getting that many either, so I don't blame them there as well. I mean, they need to vaccinate their own people as well. Of course. So, you know, and that's the problem when you don't create your own vaccines in-house, which we don't do.
As you remember, we discussed this situation
previously.
Yes. And we're going to still be sitting in the crud
until we get
it.
Well, because then we've also now heard that Moderna, we were supposed to get 1.2 million doses of Moderna by the end of this month, but again, they're having yet more supply issues, so we're going to get about half of what we're supposed to get. Ontario's supposed to get about 500,000 of those doses, and now we're going to, like, just all of Canada's only going to get 650,000. So
now you understand why
it's so slow. Bless you.
Oh, excuse me, guys.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So this is why now Ford is reaching out. I don't know who he's reaching out to, but he's reaching out to other countries. I kind of joke, contact Israel. They seem to pretty much done their vaccination. In fact, they're lifting their mask mandate and pretty much opening up in Israel because they're that far ahead on their vaccination.
And our neighbors to the south,
they have about half the adult population vaccinated, at least one shot done already. So we are now per capita more cases in the States.
Yeah, we have switched spots.
Yeah, but again, they make their own.
As we were saying.
Right. And they have, like, I don't know if, they have loaned us about 1.4 million doses of AstraZeneca. Loaned us. You know, I don't know what they wanted back. We don't make it, so how would he give it back to us? But
it'd probably be that once you get yours, you ship her down.
Whatever. Yeah. Well, because remember we got some cases from that COVAX because we haven't been getting our doses that we were ordered.
Yeah.
You know, we're not the only country who hasn't been getting their doses either. Other countries haven't either, but we're just one of many that get it from mostly Europe and or India. But you know, it's the countries that actually make it in-house, like the United States. Yes. I believe Israel does too, that are way ahead of everybody else.
Of course. With
their plan.
And what else?
You would think maybe by now the States, I get it, they want to vaccinate their own people first. I'm sure.
Makes sense.
You gotta look after your own first. But because their economy is tied pretty close to us, we're their strongest trading partner.
You would think they'd want to bail us out a little bit.
Because Biden, I believe, has talked about borders being open because their travel industry is hurting, and especially Florida, and that most of their tourism comes from Canada. So they know they've been wanting the borders open, and a lot of their businesses have been pushing for it, and it's mostly been candidates who want that border closed. So in order to get that border open, we need to get both sides of the country or both sides of the border vaccinated.
And Justin more or less said,
if you want to help get these borders open, you might want to help by sending some vaccines our way.
Get us the medicines. Get it.
Especially considering they are pretty far ahead.
Of course.
They're further ahead than they thought they'd be at this point.
That's it. And you know, we more or less said, you want it? Gotta do it.
I mean, I know a lot of people want to blame Trudeau. I don't know really if it's his fault or not. Maybe he's not being aggressive enough or not privy to the conversations that he has. Or if it's just, like I said, I have a feeling it's not really the government's fault there. It's the company's fault that, like, Pfizer and Moderna and all them that are supplying it. Because, like we said, we're by no means the only country that's not getting what we've ordered.
We're not exactly. We're not the only one. Now AstraZeneca has been approved to be administered again. Yeah. And
for up to 40 and up. 40-year-olds up.
And it's been opened up for 18 as well, I believe, in hotspot areas.
I think, I don't know, is it hotspot areas, the AstraZeneca? Maybe. I know they were, I guess. It's really confusing on what they're. I know, because remember, in one of the previous ones that did, they had suspended
yes
the AstraZeneca
because
shot because of blood clots,
yes.
which are pretty rare,
mm-hmm.
predominantly in women around the 50 age or younger.
Yes.
So that's why they wanted 55 and up. It didn't seem to be as much of a problem
mm-hmm.
For the older generation. But it was also kind of blocked for 65 and up. So if you remember, when we first got here, they didn't recommend it for seniors either.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they cleared it for the seniors, and then it's paused for 55 and under, and now, so we're like, oh, so maybe a 5-year gap that they're the only ones who take it. So now, yay. And so now they're saying it's so rare. Same with Johnson & Johnson, by the way. There's black clots forming there with that shot too.
Yes.
But because of the same technology.
Mm-hmm.
Or Pfizer and Moderna are different. They're not done the same, different formulation, but same technology. But now they're saying it's so rare that they're seeing these black clots that they shouldn't be pausing. They should be using everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't throw these out just because I think it's maybe 30 to 38 cases out of 17 million plus shots that have done with AstraZeneca by now.
It's like,
probably more than that by now.
It's like a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, it's maybe 1% of that of cases. So, but I think what they were trying to do is see exactly what was causing it.
Yes.
And that way they can actually determine if say you're more susceptible to potentially getting these clots, then you might want to take one or the other, just like Pfizer or Moderna. But
exactly. And it's what we discussed before we went on the air. It's positive scientific method to actually stop it. Let's analyze it. Let's see what's causing this, and then we know if we have to take a specific protocol in the use of this.
Right.
They did this. They found that the percentile, like we said, was so low. So let's get it back into circulation for use.
Right.
And
that's in pharmacies and like doctors. So primary care doctors are allowed to administer it. And
our government is looking, like our provincial government's looking to up the pharmacies that are able to administer COVID injections
up to 1,000 now.
1,400.
Yeah, it's about or maybe it might be higher actually.
But
because before it was about 800, and now I think it's either I thought it was maybe 1,000 to 1,700. It's around there.
But it's been a considerable bump up now that we have the AstraZeneca back in play.
Well, it was never really taken out. I mean, it was not paused. I mean, they were still using the AstraZeneca. It's just that it was paused for 55 and under. But anybody over that, I think they did release it for seniors again. Say they found again, it wasn't causing that much to that many. So they just didn't seem why it was a pause really. And so now, I think they're agreeing to do it again for 40 and up. But in hotspot areas, I believe it's 18 and up, but I don't know if it's for AstraZeneca.
So
it might be used for one of
that would mean like for like our age bracket, if we wanted to take the AstraZeneca, we could.
We could. Or Johnson.
Or
Johnson. They never really paused Johnson.
No.
So I don't think we've even gotten it here yet. So
I don't think
it's
so.
not supposed to arrive till the end of the month. But again, they're having supply shortages. Imagine that.
I do know your mother wanted to take the J&J.
Yeah, it's a single shot.
But your parents
went with Pfizer.
The Pfizer. Mine went and had the Moderna, and we ourselves haven't had it. We're waiting.
We can't even. Oh, well, I personally can't book yet. So.
And I have to, like, we have a number that educational workers can book through.
Yeah,
but it's
especially if you work with special needs kids.
And right now I am working with special needs kids, but I have heard from other members in the industry that it's tied up so much, and
well, yeah, you hear that even on the news. It's very hard to get an appointment. I mean, I've heard people get an appointment, and it's like a month.
Yeah.
From now, so.
Well, the supervisor that I'm billeted to right now, he spent 45 minutes trying to even get through, and on the phone.
Yeah.
And then it would hang up. He'd have to recall, and it would hang up, and he'd have to recall. Yeah, and so like the frustration.
It's pretty high. Sure.
And
well, even people online doing it online are having issues with it. You know, I mean, there's a lot of tech issue problems with it. I mean, obviously people are getting through, but I think especially the phones, there's so many people trying to book.
And it's a mad scramble.
Yeah, exactly. There's only so many operators and stuff like that. I mean, and of course, there's so many people wanting or eligible.
Yes.
Now, even if you book, there's no guarantee you'll get it tomorrow. It'll be like, it could be the end of the month for all we know. You know,
that's it.
That's what we're hearing anyway. At least here, I mean, it could be different elsewhere because there's less people, there's less population in like north or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and of course it's the mass vaccination sites. So, and some people wait for hours for them. Like, I don't know if you need an appointment for them or you can show up. I don't know about that. I do know you need an appointment, like if you're going to like the hospitals and the pharmacies and stuff.
Yes.
So.
I do know the one pop-up clinic that we got notified about, which was in Brampton.
Right.
All you really had to do was show up with the letter that you were given, and something to prove, like your health card.
Right. Well, what's interesting, and it's actually, I think it's a good thing that they're doing this. There was actually, I think it's a Facebook page, you might have heard of it. It's called, I think, Vaccine Hunter Canada.
Yes, I did see that on the news.
And they actually are helping, they're spending hours, they're all volunteers. They're doing
helping people to find vaccines.
They're actually helping people find where you can go to get vaccines, because people have the same issues. They're waiting too long. They're waiting months, or they don't know where to go, that kind of thing. And some of them are just showing up because they're told they could. These pop-ups, no, you can't. And so they've actually are doing lists of where you can go.
Exactly.
And that are having appointments. I mean, like, we were hearing for a long time at a lot of these mass vaccination ones, there's like 20,000 appointments that were open that either nobody made or that nobody showed up for.
That's it.
And that's the thing. I mean, some people are making appointments and not showing up for them. So what happens to those doses for that day?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think what they're doing here is they're trying to put all that together so that you can find them. And so if nobody shows up for that appointment that day, you want that vaccine, well, maybe you can get that spot instead, you know. So, I mean, the faster this can get done, maybe we can actually get back to a normal life, you know, and maybe things can open up again.
Do you remember a normal life?
Over a year ago now.
You know, like, do you guys remember what it was like when things were normal?
Vaguely.
Vaguely.
Vaguely. But, yeah, I know not everybody's going to get a vaccine. I mean, the statistics just in the States alone, about 25% of their population, which is roughly how much our population is total, don't even want to get the vaccine. I'm sure there was a lot here that don't either, but you know, but at least if you can get enough people inoculated, then maybe we can get back to a semblance of normal, you know. But now they're talking about that we can get boosters too.
No.
The booster shot. Is that going to be a yearly thing?
So I gotta follow the train of thought here with me, kids. I gotta go for my first dose.
Right.
Wait 4 months.
Yeah, we're at 4 months right now.
Get my second dose. And then then down the road, get a booster.
In about a year's time. I'm showing you this isn't going to go away. I mean, it's not like, see, I think this is where the biggest thing is, where people are kind of
like, oh my god,
talking about the flu. Like, the flu gets brought up a lot, because again, it doesn't go away. There's no cure for the flu.
No.
The thing is, there's so many strains of the flu, and it mutates pretty much yearly.
Mm-hmm.
The differences with this is the flu is seasonal, so you don't really see the flu in the summer.
No.
Some people might get the flu in the summer, but it's pretty rare. Where this is not seasonal, so it could be the fact of it really won't ever 100% go away.
That's true.
But if you get most people at least vaccinated or who've had it or whatever, and developing some sort of immunity to it for at least months at a time.
Yeah.
Then maybe like an annual booster shot or something. Like some people get the flu shot every year. It works or it doesn't work. Sometimes it's hit or miss to know what strain it is.
That's true.
It's possible that it might become a yearly thing with this.
That is true.
But see, the thing is, like, the Spanish flu, which was the last pandemic, it just vanished.
Oh, sorry. Yes, it did.
The Spanish flu didn't disappear. I mean, it's around, just like a lot of diseases you don't hear about anymore. They still exist. It's just we don't tend to get them much.
No, that's true.
The reason, like, you don't see measles or mumps because of vaccinations, although measles is on the upswing because a lot of kids aren't vaccinated from it.
Where in our generation, it was
you couldn't go to school without a vaccination when we were kids. It wouldn't let you go to school.
No, and you
had to be vaccinated.
Yeah, it was like every year you had to present your vaccination record.
I don't remember if it was every year. I know when you registered, you had to be vaccinated for. I mean, it was a 5-10 year, I think, maybe vaccine that lasted that long.
Yeah,
I remember right. But some vaccines are pretty much like lifelong.
Yeah.
You'll never have to get vaccinated from them again. I think measles is one of them, but there is like smallpox, rubella. I think there's a chickenpox one. I don't know. There is shingles. Yeah. I think it's not lifelong. I think it fades over time. So you should be vaccinated again over I think it's about 10 years.
Yeah.
But it's longer than it used to be. It used to be about 5 when we were kids. Now I think it's about 10 or 15. But something like that.
Things have improved since our day. Oh
yeah, technology for them has improved. But see, because a lot of people are hesitant with vaccines, including the measles vaccine, because people thought it caused autism and things like that. A lot of parents didn't get their kids vaccinated from it, so it was on the upswing. So there were kids getting measles again, and I mean that was almost pretty much eradicated when we were kids.
Exactly.
So, and it could be this way with COVID. Like it seems like it will be.
Oh,
it could be.
Let's call it what it is, and let's.
They're saying it become what they call endemic, so it keeps coming back.
And I think we're going to have to probably accept that this is probably going to be part of our new reality, and
But maybe if there's more vaccinated, and get booster shots, maybe we can learn to live with it, coexist, like we have with other illnesses.
Exactly.
Which are potentially deadly.
What do you guys think? What do you guys feel about the whole vaccination turtle race that we're dealing with here?
And this concept of closing. Oh, no, we're like that sign we saw today. We're open, now we're closed. Oops, now we're open. Oh, now we're closed.
Well,
now we're open, now we're closed.
And, it. That
was in a restaurant.
And it made us giggle, but it's also kind of true. It's also so true because they're having to pivot so fast all the time.
Well, they're not given in time to react. They're they literally, the one time they had 24 hours?
At least.
To pivot. I mean, they are. It was around Easter. They bought all their Easter stuff, and they're allowed to have the patios open and all that. And then, oh, no, sorry, you're closed. You know, I mean, that's not fair. That's like thousands of dollars worth of food.
Exactly.
What are they going to do with that? You know.
Hey, thanks for tuning into the episode. Macabre, you have very nice hair. What kind of leave-in conditioner do you use? To whom are you referring?
Thanks for both of us then.
Those are some nice comments. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning into the show. But what do you think? What do you guys think? Do you think we're moving at a snail's pace? Do you think?
Yes.
Of course. Yes. Yes. I think geriatrics and wheelchairs are moving faster than our vaccination protocol. Mm-hmm. And you know, we need to kind of pick up the pace, really pick up the pace to get it done.
Well, we need to actually get supplies here.
Exactly. And
to get it done.
And we need.
Well, okay.
Okay.
How do you think our government is doing? Like, opposed to, say, maybe some of the other provinces, the territories, or even some of the like states or countries. How do you think we're doing, in your opinion? Do you think we could have done more or less?
How do I think we're doing? I think we've cocked it up from the jump. I think we have cocked this up from the jump.
Yeah.
I think the moment the cases appeared, mm-hmm. we should have been more proactive, more shut this off, clamp it down, get it dealt with, get it done.
Right.
But the government was kind of blah, blah, blah about the whole thing, and we ended up in the crud more than once. Mm-hmm. And it's still a very lackadaisical approach. We need.
Well, they keep doing the same thing.
It's like he's stuck in a loop. Stuck in a loop. Stuck in a loop. It's like Ontario's going through its own version of Groundhog Day.
We're open, now we're closed.
We're open, we're closed. We're open, we're closed. We're open, we're closed. What the heck?
You know.
You know, and so until Doug actually learns the lesson that he needs to learn during our Groundhog Day,
like that.
You know, we're going to still repeat the same darn mistakes. And people are suffering for it. The small business, the young kids that can't be in school, right. The education workers, the nurses, everyone's been in flux far too long, you know, and we need to get with no end in sight, and we need to get ourselves sorted like Australia did, like Japan did, like
Japan is seeing action upswing, but they usually can get it under control pretty fast.
It's because they listen to the government. The government says, okay.
But they trust their government.
And they trust their government. So they slam, you know, if the government says, okay, we got to slam the gate shut.
Yeah.
Okay with that.
Yeah.
Government says that here, everyone is, you know, marching through the streets with torches and pitchforks. and what do you think, our new friend? Well, are masks still required in the public in your region of the U.S.? Well, we're not actually in the U.S.
Canada.
We're in Canada.
Yeah, and yes, they are.
And it is required.
Yeah, it's mandated here.
If you cannot properly socially distance, they require that you do wear a mask in those situations. Even in my job, outside of this, I'm working with a team. Normally, I work with just one other person. But we're expected to wear a mask, and a face shield.
Yeah, face shield too.
And so that is in place.
Well, even here, which I know there was a lot of places in the States who did this too, where if you're like in a grocery store or like a Walmart or something like that, you have to wear a mask. Convenience stores, any retail, and even in condos and apartment buildings. If you're in common areas, you have to wear a mask too. I don't know if they did that there. They might have in some areas, but they did here. You have to wear a mask or something. Here it's mandated. Now, granted, not all do, but and they haven't really enforced it much like that we've seen.
No.
So I mean, like we know some stores that they will ask you to leave if you don't wear a mask.
That's true.
But others they don't seem to say anything. So
well, our we've had a couple instances where our postal service has denied delivery to certain buildings because people are not following masks, aren't following masking protocol.
Right.
It's
so the residents actually had to go to the post office to pick up their mail.
You know what? And it's a tough road to kind of hoe with this because there's so much negative influx over wearing a mask, you know?
Right.
And people protesting about wearing masks. And I think the inability of our police services over this, we're not allowed to be in big groups, but you're allowing people to protest in big groups, not wearing masks.
Right.
Pardon my language, but you contradicting.
It is kind of contradicting.
Asses, you know.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's okay. I mean, we know people have the right to protest. Same within the States. I don't know if you're in the States or not, but you know, or where in the world you are, but here you have the right. We have the right to protest.
Of course.
And to gather and express your displeasure, and they will let the police those be around and make sure that they're not rioting or whatever. But they'll let that go. Now, obviously, the anti-maskers aren't wearing masks, but other protesters do wear masks. But that's okay. Yet, say you're one or two people in a park setting, that's who they'll ticket.
Yeah.
What? You know, welcome. It's like one or two people just sitting in a park, and that's not okay. But well, look, they even closed down our playgrounds. They've since been reopened, but they're closed down. We were just talking about that earlier in the show. That was something that the province here has mandated, playgrounds and stuff be closed down. It's like that doesn't make any sense. But they've since been reopened because they know it doesn't make any sense to do that. But the protesters are allowed to protest in massive groups of 1,000 people.
See what people need,
and they're allowed to do that, but it's just contradictory in what they're allowing and what is not right or not allowed. You know, it's just. And I think that's what's kind of confusing to a lot of people too.
Okay, let's
at least here.
Let's break this down simply. People need to understand in a group situation that, say, 5 people.
Right. Because we're allowed to be in groups of 5.
In groups of 5.
Here.
Say,
by law.
Those 5 people do not wear masks.
Right.
Now they go and see 5 other people. So,
even if one of them is sick.
Even if one is sick, you're now running the risk of spreading that like a spider web. So if I go and see 5 other people and you go see 5 others, that's 10, 15, and so on.
It's balloons.
It's just balloons.
They go to work, they're home or whatever, and it's balloons.
And people need to understand that how fast transference can happen.
Right.
You know,
but more so inside. And this is why they've we were talking about big closed gyms and things like that. Even though they're not a huge spreader of this.
No.
But I mean, it's indoors, and usually a lot of times gyms tend to have better ventilation than some stores do.
That's true.
But you know, it's funny. You'll get a couple different people you'll meet. You might have had this experience. Say you're just walking down the street. Some people, you know, they'll either wear a mask out, and that's fine. You know, if they want to wear a mask out, that's your choice. If you don't want to, that's fine too. Excuse me. But you'll get people who, you know, they're not bothered by passing you on the sidewalk, and they'll just go on with their day. And then you get other people. I just find it funny. Excuse me.
Come sit.
They'll do like this wide berth around you. They'll go like on the road to get away from you, or they'll go on like
up on someone's lawn
or something. It's funny, or they'll just completely cross the street to get away from you. I mean, you know, if you feel safe doing that, fine, do whatever.
By all means,
but experts have been saying from the beginning that it takes, when they talk about close contact, they're not talking about passing on a sidewalk.
Like
because it's like you pass somebody for maybe a second, if that, and then you're walking away from them. So they're saying that that's not what they mean.
No.
Is that they mean close contact in a work setting at home or whatever for at least 15 minutes. So that's what they mean by close contact. So that's why it never made sense for the close playgrounds.
No.
You know, so.
And I think a lot of this is common sense. A lot that has to fall on the parents when it comes to playgrounds, keeping your kids safe, understanding.
Like bring sanitizer or whatever.
Because a lot of these places, playgrounds aren't sanitized.
No, they're not.
Because there's such an influx of people through those spaces.
And you can't have somebody standing there all day sanitizing playground equipment.
And so I lost my train of thought.
It happens.
Isn't that the way?
You know, I mean,
you know what?
What's good is we have seen, if you see kids or anything out, even teenagers, we see tons of teenagers together in our area. And technically, they're not allowed to do that here.
No.
They're technically, by law, not supposed to be in groups that big.
Exactly.
Police aren't breaking them up, though. But one saving grace is a lot of them do wear masks. We have seen them wearing masks, so that's good. But technically, they're not supposed to be in groups like that. But
no, that is true.
They actually can be ticketed, but I don't know really if they are, but they can be by law. So, but I think what they're saying is they're not trying to target things like that. They're trying to target the parties that are going on. Like there's parties like
in storage units,
private homes, like where you're talking 20 or more people in a house, that kind of thing. That's where they're trying to target.
Exactly.
And break that up, kind of, because that's more likely to spread there than, you know, kids riding their bikes or whatever on a playground.
Exactly.
You know. But whether or not, I mean, I know every weekend we hear that there's parties and stuff being broken up.
And I think the max, the minimum that a lot of them are getting charged is, I believe, $750.
770. With tax comes to over 800.
So that's a
pretty big tax. It's pretty big fine.
Chunk of change for someone to get hit with. But
organizers could be over $10,000. Yes. Fine.
So if that's the way you want to go, you best be willing to accept the penalty and the price tag to go with. It's a risk.
Sure.
What else were we going to discuss? We had one other topic, friends.
Well, we talked about Huff's Gym. That was in Dundas Street.
The merry-go-round of Ontario restrictions.
And really, I mean, they're not doing really anything different than they did before.
No.
The vaccine shortage.
And our province being in dire straits and needing the help.
Well, one thing we had heard, this week, that the ICU and hospital situations now top 2,000 here, and of course it's the entire province.
Yes,
not just the GTA. That there's I think it's 2,100 in hospitals, 704 in ICU, and that's 505 on ventilators.
And that's a ridiculously.
It's going up every day. And a lot of that's variants, but 70% of the variants now, and I believe it's the UK variant, or the Brazilian variant is here.
Yes.
But I think the UK, which is the B117 variant, is more prevalent at the moment.
And we're still sending, they're still sending patients to other hospitals.
Well, see, this is what has changed. They've been sending to other hospitals for a while, but what has changed, I think, within the last week or so, is they don't have to ask for permission anymore to do that with.
No, so that's true.
They can send you. They don't have to ask you. They don't have to ask a family member. They can just ship you off to Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
For those who don't really know Ontario very well, Thunder Bay is like the far end of the province. Like, say you're in Toronto, it's kind of southern part of the province. So Thunder Bay is really, it's almost as far west as you can get from here. It's like right on the border of Manitoba. So you're talking about 1,000 some odd miles away. I mean, Ontario is a huge province. So, and they could ship you there
within a moment's notice.
So, without your consent. So that's what they're doing now. That, of course, they didn't actually announce that very much, and they didn't even announce it on the news.
They kept that pretty quiet.
We do a lot of research, so we found out online about that even. So that's fun.
Yeah.
You know.
But even what they're starting to notice, like they've said, even doing that, the hospital capacities are starting to
filling up.
And so, like, when we have hospitals here in not
the Toronto area,
in the Toronto area, that are putting tents.
Yes, Sunnybrook, which is Sunnybrook here is a trauma hospital. So basically, if you're in a really bad car accident or there's some kind of trauma, that's where they send you. Is to Sunnybrook. It's well known. It's well renowned for that. So what they're doing is they actually have a field hospital now, which they're planning to open next week. So the first time they haven't had to open any of these kind of field hospitals since the pandemic began, because they've kept it pretty good, our numbers. But now, first time they're opening up the field hospitals. Now I know there New York had a lot of problem with that. They even brought in the hospital boat ship, but the military, I believe, ship that they brought in, and so now that we're starting to see that here too, and that's mostly due to the variants. But they're also saying it's not just the resurgence, it's not even just the variant, it's the resurgence of the original virus that's coming out now too. So that's also a problem. Yay!
I'm tapping out. I want out.
There's something else along with they were talking about near the end of last week, because other regions are starting to see capacity where GTA is moving their patients to. So hospitals now are talking that they may have to go to a triage situation, which
like
you probably heard about in Italy did it, and I think New York did it too. Whereas the fact of if they think you can survive past a year, they will give you life-saving treatment. If they don't think you can make it past that, they will take you off the ventilator and won't get treatment. And they haven't reached that yet, but because the numbers are going up so high and capacity is overflowing in some hospitals, they're starting to look at plans for doing that. Now, hopefully that won't get to that point, but
that that is, to me is
scary.
It's a scary prospect,
because it's not just COVID. It's not just COVID patients that are in these ICUs. It's all these other things are going on at the same time. You're still getting heart attacks, still getting cancers, you're still getting other diseases, accidents, all this kind of stuff. So there's other patients in ICU too. However, they can't put them in the same ICU.
No.
Because that patient could get it. So that's part of the problem here.
Oh, and that was one other thing. Non-essential medical procedures and that have been canceled. Again.
There's like 200,000 surgeries that are backlogged now. Just because they need ICU capacity. Not just for COVID, but for anything else. And so they can't, if you have a surgery, something goes wrong.
Yeah.
They don't want to risk it. So,
exactly.
So then you've got people with cancer surgeries. If it's not dire, you are put on the back burner right now. If you absolutely need a surgery, they will do it. But if you don't, you're waiting. Because they can't risk it right now.
I wonder if they would with my hand.
No, that wouldn't be considered serious.
Yeah.
Right now, that wouldn't be. I don't know how many stories I've read of different people. There's pretty serious things like cancer treatments, diagnoses, just other surgeries that aren't like day surgeries that have been put on hold right now just because they can't risk it. And these medical things can get worse while they wait.
Exactly. So
I don't know. And they said it's probably going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
Hell, we've even said that.
It already has gotten
worse. It already has gotten worse.
Here.
But
this is why I think when we talked about this in another one, podcast. Why we need to be able to make our own vaccines.
Of course.
Instead of relying on other countries. Which is pretty much what we're having to do. Thank goodness the States did send us some of AstraZeneca. And we're having to get it from Europe, and India and stuff, because that's who's making it. Like a lot of the world is getting it from Europe. But, Canada did have its own production. Like, we did make our own up until the 80s.
That's right.
And then it was all shut down because for some reason they thought it wasn't needed. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But, now I know they are bringing it back, but it's going to be a little bit too late for right now.
Well, like we said, it's like too little too late. We're already in crap.
Well, they're thinking the next pandemic. So it's like,
Heaven help me, the next pandemic.
Well, luckily it was about 100 years ago, the last pandemic. So hopefully it'll be another 100 years before the next one. But who knows? If this one ever ends.
So,
well, I'm glad to see it. The situation is improving worldwide.
Yes, that's true. It is improving worldwide.
Somewhat. I know there are countries that are still having problems.
That's true.
Like Japan's doing well, but they are apparently seeing an uptick in cases. And they've been talking again about potentially canceling the Olympics. Maybe they're trying not to because they postponed it a year. But it's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's it's expensive.
For it, but they're seeing a bit of an uptick. States are doing well.
Yes, that's true.
Some states not so much, but majority of the states are doing well, so that's good.
So, like, if anyone who's watching the show, please, we'd love to hear, like, if you're in the States, where are you? What's going on? Like,
what do you think about your area?
Your area.
How they're doing. Is there mask mandates? I know a lot of states lifted them. Like Texas did. I know they're completely open. I think Florida still has a mask mandate.
I believe so.
I think New York does. I think a couple other states lifted it.
Like,
I know Israel just lifted theirs.
So we would love to keep the conversation going. Let's see where everyone is.
Yeah.
Get your opinion on this situation. Do you feel
like where you are?
Do you feel your governor, if you're in the States, or that your current president, President Biden, do you think he's doing a phenomenal job dealing with this situation against what the previous administration had? We've shared what we feel about what our government is doing, or what they
could do better.
What they could do better.
Yeah.
And all comments are welcome. We want to hear both sides of the story. So please feel free to tell us.
And we know, not everybody agrees with everybody else.
Of course.
I know there's a lot of people who are anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers. Those people don't believe in lockdown. Some do think we're not locked down enough here. Some people wish we did what like Australia did, and actually Italy did at one point.
Yeah.
And really locked it down. I mean, here it's locked down, but you can still do things. They're not. You can go for walks and stuff. They're not.
It's locked down with privileges.
Yeah, you still have privileges like that. You can go for a coffee and take it out, kind of thing. But I know that's very different from the kind of lockdowns that Australia saw or Italy saw, where it was complete lockdown. Yeah. So, and one person could go out,
Well, I know when
to go grocery shopping, that was it, or medical appointments.
I know when my brother and his wife were living in Panama.
Right. I'm not sure what they do there. We haven't really heard about a lot of countries in the world that they've done.
How it would sound.
Most of the bigger ones.
On certain days, men his age could go out.
Oh, so they were doing it that way.
And then on opposite days, the spouses could go out.
Oh, so one at a
Only
time.
One at a time.
Right, that's how Italy did it.
And
so it was really locked down.
It was a legitimate lockdown.
Yeah, it's different here. It's not like that here.
We're in lockdown light.
Quasi lockdown. What's locked down is mostly retail and restaurants. It's they can open for just pick out and delivery.
Yeah.
And of course, it's not Canada wide. I mean, that's the thing. Each province is doing it their own way. So, they're all different. So, I mean, we're doing it this way. BC just went back into a kind of a lockdown. So did Alberta. And it's funny with BC, they only, I think, went into lockdown once, and that was back in March. So they've done pretty well, I think.
That's true.
They've kind of been able to avoid lockdowns, and same with Alberta. They haven't really locked down much.
Hence why they said,
But they have now. They're kind of like us, whereas retail can operate, but they can only be pick up and and same with restaurants, but not like, say, what Italy did, where you couldn't even really go out at all. Everything was locked down except for grocery and pharmacies, and that's all you can go out for. So that's
just the bare necessities.
And see, that's what's interesting is some people are saying, did they do a better job because they had a zero COVID policy?
Truthfully, I think they did,
because now they're almost back to normal. If you watch anything from Japan, on YouTube and stuff, recent, they're able to eat in the restaurants again. They have festivals and all that kind of stuff right now. Same with Australia. So I mean, maybe that was the better thing to do.
I think
instead of how we did it here.
Well, it kind of goes back to when you asked me what do I think of the situation, how we dealt with it. I think we should have dealt with it more like our international partners did, in a more aggressive fashion.
And pretty aggressive how they did it.
And I totally commend these governments for taking a hardline stance. It takes a hardline stance to solve a major problem.
Oh, yeah.
And to basically tell everyone, this is how it is. This is what you're going to do. And if you don't do it, this is what's happening. It's not as we have seen in North America. We're going to do this, but please don't.
Please don't do it.
Please don't do this. Please.
Please listen to us.
Please listen to us. Please.
And I think, I don't know, part of why I think it works there, I mean, they literally had checkpoints, though.
Yeah.
And, like, both Italy and Australia specifically.
Of course.
Actually had checkpoints. You could not travel. Oh, that's one thing that Ontario is doing, too. Starting tomorrow, that's what we forgot.
Yes.
Starting tomorrow, our borders are closed, not just to the states, but to provinces too, because they're not allowing international, interprovincial travel with either Quebec or Manitoba either. So the borders are closed that way as well. So that's the first time since the pandemic. The maritime provinces have done that from the beginning, but this is the first time we've done it. But I think part of the thing is trust in your government. Now they seem to have more trust in their government than people here do.
Well, you know what? Let's
it might help if you have trust in the government.
I'm gonna
Maybe.
I'm gonna yell Jumanji and say that it's because people just swallowed the poison pill from the previous administration down south. Because the whole ideology of the fake news, it's not, you know, and that just kind of permeated through everybody.
Yeah, including here.
It was, which is mind-boggling. I
know that's not everybody. I know
it's not everyone. No,
not everybody did believe everything.
But
and it's not good to believe everything anyway.
No,
but, you know,
I always think it's always good to question.
Of course, yeah.
Always good to do your research and learn, but trust in the system that we've got to lead us the right way. The CDC, the WHO, your local government, your city, state, province, whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
vote them out if you don't like.
You know, like people need to understand that and focus on what they can do. Keep yourself safe.
Right.
You know, follow the rules.
Yeah.
Do what you are supposed to be doing. Don't hoop and holler, have a party with 50 of your friends. And
well, because opposite works. I mean,
exactly.
You just have to look. I mean, whether you trust mainstream news or not, you don't have to watch mainstream news. Just even if you trust Reuters or AP, Associated Press, or really live streams, you know, it doesn't even have to be the news. It could be just people there who are live streaming.
Yep.
You can see they're back to normal. You can see that they're able to live their lives again, and so something about whatever they did is working. Because
that's it.
They're more or less back to normal. So something worked. You know, so I mean, if you don't even believe the regular news, well, believe the people who are there.
Well, that's
people who are a lot of live streams around the world. I mean, people taking like their camera to parks or wherever they are. You see it in the States too. I mean, you see people walking around with live streams, Disney World or wherever. I mean, like something about whatever they're doing is working.
Well, that's my late grandmother always said the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
The proof, you can see that it's working by what's going on.
Right. Yeah. And that's not even news. That's just normal people that, even cameras like Northcam or whatever that is set up. You see them, I mean, that things are pretty much somewhat normal, and these are specifically the countries that did this hard kind of lockdown.
Took the hard stances.
And now they don't have to lock down the entire country. They just, if there's a hot spot, they just lock that area down for 2 weeks, and then they can open back up. Instead of like how we're doing it here.
Forever.
Your area is doing that, but our area here, it's like months lockdown.
Like we've been like this.
Lockdown.
Boys and girls, it's time for lockdown.
Well, I mean, most people I think are doing what they're supposed to do. I mean,
Of course.
It's just small businesses are suffering for it. Again, like we said before, I mean, target where the outbreaks are occurring instead of where it's not.
That's it.
You know, it's not working.
I'd like, you know what? Thank you for coming in and doing this.
Thank you for having me. It's interesting. It's important.
This is an important discussion, and we need to keep the channels of communication open between all people, and be able to listen to all people, and
really, that's only what's going to make things change.
Exactly.
If you get people, even if you just, like we said, there's people who are on both sides of the political spectrum. There's three. There's actually more than two parties here, but
that's a conversation for another episode.
But that's kind of part of the problem, I guess, is people aren't really listening to each other. Maybe like some believe this, and they're very hard-lined about it. And some are on this side, and they're very hard-lined about it. They're not really listening to each other. They just want a name call.
That's it. I
mean, that's not really going to fix anything.
No, we're not fixing it. Yeah, exactly.
Why are these people concerned about this, or why are these people concerned about this? The same thing with the anti-vaxxers or those who believe in the mask, or that kind of thing. I mean, I understand, like, the small businesses who are protesting, they're trying to save their livelihood. I get that, and then I also get why the governments and stuff are doing what they're doing, is to protect everybody, so that they will have a business at the end of the day, and they'll have customers who can go, and
I think
there has to, like we said before, there has to be a better way that works better. Maybe take cue from what maybe other countries or other are doing that we're doing wrong.
I think the problem is we look at it as the scope of our world is like this.
You only see your own really small area.
What really we need to do to deal with this problem is open that lens up. And I hope that our show I hope our show helps precipitate that conversation and gets people to, think, okay, well, maybe what they're saying makes sense, and maybe what you tell us will resonate with us. And I'm looking forward to more conversations with people, and I'm looking forward to another humdinger of a conversation with you.
Always is.
Exactly. I hope you'll come back next week.
I will.
And I hope you guys will come back next week.
Yeah. And join in the conversation.
Join in the conversation and be part of the talk.
Yeah, because it's I mean, we get a lot of our own perspective from people we talk to. And we do have a lot of people that we know who don't necessarily agree with us, but they'll listen, and they take different things from what we say. And,
for sure.
And same with us, with them. I mean, we don't necessarily have to agree with everything, and they don't have to agree with us, but I mean, who knows? There might be something in what we say that you could take that, makes sense, or what you say that we could say, that makes sense, and it's interesting to know the worldwide perspective as well, and, to see what are you doing, say, if you're on the States, what do you think about how your country or your state is dealing with it, or if you're in Europe, how are they doing there? Do you think, I know there's countries there that are having trouble.
Oh.
What do you think they should do better? Like, that kind of thing, So it's just interesting to see what different regions are even doing. And
exactly.
Because maybe the governments can't get it right.
Maybe we can.
Maybe we can, and maybe they'll actually listen to something that the people actually tell them for a change. You think?
Again, guys.
People have more power over governments than they think they do. So
this is true. This is true. Remember, we put these people in power.
Right.
We can
remove them.
If we feel they are not doing what's in our best interest, we can demand change.
Right.
And I think.
And they actually did. I mean, that's why here the playgrounds are open again.
Yes.
Because people said that's not true. That's not the right thing to do. And they spoke, they protested, they had petition, all that kind of stuff. So they listened. So I mean, people can affect change. in a positive way.
That's the one point I want to leave everyone with before we leave tonight. We need to demand change in a positive way.
Right.
Not in an aggressive way.
Right.
Not in a destructive way.
Well, see, when you're talking about that, sorry, I mean, I tend to be that. But anyway.
She's passionate, and I respect that.
But like you're talking about, not in an aggressive way. In Quebec, they're basically rioting. I mean, there's protesting, and then there's rioting, and I mean they're damaging businesses
for no reason.
Don't even have anything to do with this.
Well,
I mean,
that's it.
Like I don't really get that. So why are you damaging the businesses? I mean, they're not the ones controlling the mandate. So why are you firebombing them and looting and all that kind of stuff? So I mean, because that's all people remember.
Exactly.
They don't remember your message. They remember you breaking it. Now, not all of them are doing it. It's slack you, but those that are jumping on cars and breaking and firebombing businesses, that's all people will remember.
Well, that's it.
Of it. And the message gets lost.
Excuse me.
That you were saying in a positive.
In a positive way, we need to demand change, and we need to be persistent in demanding positive change.
Right.
We could be the change that's needed. We just have to have the nerve to stay strong and stay the course of it.
Right.
Yeah. But people, sometimes it appears people aren't willing to put in the work.
They do it the wrong way.
They do it the wrong way.
And like I said, that's all you see, though, if you do it the wrong way.
That's all anyone's ever going to remember.
Right. And then your message is lost. And it can be a very important message. I mean, especially when they're saying they want these businesses to survive. That's an important message. But if you're doing it this way or, threatening or whatever, I mean, that's all you're going to see. That's all people are going to notice.
And that's...
I don't know how you can do it, but there's better ways to do it.
And I think we need to come together as people, as a global community, because this is a global problem.
Oh yeah, and it's gonna take the world to solve it.
And if our leaders can't come up with a solution, it's up to us as a global community, as global people, as global brothers and sisters, to sit down, put our differences aside, and say, what do you know that we can put into this?
Right.
This is what I know. Maybe this might help.
Right.
Some of the greatest accomplishments have come from brainstorming sessions.
Oh, sure.
And right now...
And showing out ideas, even if they seem crazy.
And let's be honest, friends. Right now, with COVID, we need one mother of a brainstorming session.
Yeah.
One mother of a brainstorming session. Because right now, our leaders are kind of circling the drain. It's the same old song and dance. And we need to...
Here, anyway.
We need to have fresh ideas, fresh opinions, fresh viewpoints.
Well, like you said, I mean, instead of doing the same thing, like here, especially, that just keep targeting the same areas. It's not working. I mean, it works for a bit, but then when you open it, it skyrockets. It's again, target where the problem lies. And like I said, it's primarily the warehouse, manufacturing, distribution, where they have to work together in big groups. And I mean, the auto industry seems to have gotten it together.
Yes.
And it's because they put the money into creating a safe space. These other industries, for some reason, are not doing that. Like Amazon warehouse here got closed because there's an outbreak. The Canada Post, which is like USPS here, there's 2 outbreaks there. I mean, there's a problem. I mean, that's where you have to start targeting.
Exactly.
And those are the ones who should start being vaccinated. Because once you get them vaccinated, the numbers will drop.
Exactly. So guys, thank you for listening to our opinions. Thank you thank you for listening to us ramble off about what's going on here in our little part of the world. We'd love to hear more from you guys.
What's going on in your part of the world?
So please, guys, shoot us a comment in the comment section down below. Let us know where you're from, and let us know what you would do different to change things with the global pandemic. Thank you for sitting with me and having this impassioned discussion. Please, guys, if you like what we were talking about and you want to stay in the conversation with us more, give us a thumbs up, hit the notification bell, and it will let you know.
Subscribe.
And yes, and subscribe. And that little notification bell will let you know when myself and this lovely lady will be before you for an extended chat, and we'll make sure the coffee is always hot. So, guys,
or whatever you want to drink.
Please be safe, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next week. Have a good week, guys.
All right, guys. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I want to shut off. It wants us to stay.
Apparently.